The Kremlin's main mouthpiece, Vladimir Solovyov, who has been ridiculing Ukraine and singing Putin's praises for years, suddenly admitted on air that the Russian army is left without a sufficient number of drones and equipment, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces outnumber the Russian Federation in drones several times over. The broadcast attracted the attention of Ukrainian journalist and blogger Denis Kazansky. In his latest broadcasts, Solovyov stated that Russian troops at the front are losing the technological competition en masse. According to him, in some areas the Ukrainian Armed Forces have a 1.5 to 3 times superiority in UAVs, and Russian industry has proven unable to quickly establish production of even heavy drones. The same Solovyov, who never tired of repeating about small and poor Ukraine, now admits that this insignificant Ukraine is calmly surpassing the Russian Federation in key war technologies, despite all the stories about the great power. The presenter justifies himself by freezing the economy, although he recently assured that sanctions are senseless. Now it has suddenly become clear that Russian factories are not capable of producing either equipment, optics, or drones in the required volumes. The irony is that even Solovyov himself lets it slip. There is money in the country, but it is dissolved in corruption and luxury yachts instead of reaching the army. His most revealing words are, "Give everything to the front. Why can't we give it?" But Solovyov diligently forgets to clarify that for 25 years the same great manager, Putin, has been at the helm, who portrays strength on television but in practice has left his army without vehicles and drones. Perhaps this admission sounds the main thing. Ukraine, which Russian propaganda for many years called a failed project, territory without a future, and country of drug addicts, Solovyov himself is forced to admit is more effective and flexible. Ukraine was able to build a system of drones and volunteer support which not only holds the front but also ruins the plans of the world's second army.
Ukraine Security Service, the SBU, has struck Russian Panzer S-1 self-propelled anti-aircraft missile and gun system and 3 helicopters in Russian-held Crimea Peninsula. The successful operation was carried out on the night leading to June 28 at the military airfield in Kirovsky district in the peninsula. Available data indicates that the destroyed helicopters are multi-purpose and attack helicopters Mi-8, Mi-26, and Mi-28, the SBU said in a statement on Telegram app. The Ukrainian forces struck the locations of the aviation component, air defense systems, ammunition storage facilities, as well as Russian reconnaissance and attack UAVs. The video published in Telegram app captures the moment of detonation of ammunition at Kirovsky airfield. 5 to 6 explosions occurred at Kirovsky airfield throughout the night between 2:50 and 3:02 a.m. following the sound of drones flying. Russian forces also opened fire at UAVs in Crimea's Dzhankoy district at around 1:30 a.m., according to reports. Ukrainian troops have scaled up attacks on Russian military targets in an attempt to reduce Russia's capability to carry out aerial bomb strikes on the territory of Ukraine.
While the Kremlin talks about stability and the return to greatness, the reality is much darker. An impoverished population, soaring prices, empty refrigerators, and increasing poverty in Russia. All this is the direct price of Putin's protracted military adventure, and Russians are paying for the war in potato lines. experts say. As Reuters writes, it is pensioners and the poor who have become the main victims of Russia's protracted invasion of Ukraine. Real pensions are falling, prices are rising, and the authorities are reporting income growth. But these figures hide a cruel truth. A third of Russians, tens of millions of people, are already living below the poverty line, barely making ends meet. The products that an elderly person's diet is based on are becoming more expensive every month. Potatoes are up 60%. Beets, carrots, cabbage, onions are up 40 to 70% since the beginning of the year. At the same time, pensions are indexed more slowly than inflation, and real incomes feel like they are falling. According to the Center for Macroeconomic Analysis, CMASF, the real size of pensions, if calculated according to the so-called inflation for the poor, has decreased by 6% over the year, despite the official increase from Rustat of 1.1%. But Rustat is showing an increase in income, and behind the scenes, every fifth family has lost out in the new economy. Almost two-thirds of Russians have no savings, meaning that if they lose their job tomorrow, they will have nothing to pay for food and utilities. Price tags change every week, says 70-year-old Larissa from Moscow. The same idea is heard from everyone. People have fixed incomes and prices behave like a stock exchange, only not on the growth of capital, but on the zeroing of human dignity. The Central Russian Bank admits that the poor feel inflation twice as much. The head of the central bank, Elvira Nabiullina, admitted in June that our people do not buy TVs every day. They buy food, which means they feel the crisis differently. The expected inflation for the poor is 14 to 17%. The official target is 4%. The gap is not just in percentages, it is in destinies. The main conclusion that is becoming increasingly obvious is that Russia has entered a regime of military redirection of resources. Everything that used to go to pensions, subsidies, food, transport is now going to the defense industry. Prices are rising because there is less food in warehouses and more ammunition. Today, Putin is not only a foreign policy isolator, but also an economic collapse for his own people. Russia is once again turning into a country with rationing inflation and inflation for the poor. Only now all this is not under the heading "the shame of the 90s", but under the tales of imperial revival. Now, with this trend, a food riot in Russia is not ruled out. People are more interested in the war in Ukraine. They are demanding bread from President Vladimir Putin.